I've got an exercise that will help you to learn these 4 minor scales that I've got listed here. These scales are in this order on purpose. We've started with the D Dorian scale. It's kind of a vanilla place to start if you look at a piano keyboard. I'll just grab this. I've got look at this little keyboard. Here's the D. It's in between the 2 black keys here. If you just played all the white keys and went up to the next D, you'd get the Dorian scale. The other thing is, the Dorian scale is already kind of pre-existing here on your chromatic harmonica without any modifications. It's just there. If you play any note on this harmonica without using the slide, you're going to be playing one of the notes of the D Dorian scale. There's a reason blues harp players gravitate towards D minor, or what we call third position. It's a Dorian tonality. All of the notes are pretty useful in a blues context. So my recommendation for playing the D Dorian scale, you could play it without the slide, but I recommend using the slide for the F and the C. So I'll tab this out over here. This is D Dorian. Play it descending also. So that's a good starting place. I'm going to show you the next one. What the point of this whole list is, this list in this particular order allows us to just make one change at a time. So we're going to take this Dorian scale and we're going to lower the 6th degree. One of the things I want to mention today, all 4 of these scales have a common denominator where the first 5 notes of the scale are the same. For all 4 of those scales, the only scale degree that we change is the 6th and the 7th. So for the next scale on the list, we just flat the 6th degree. We get a B flat here, that's hole 3 draw. We're going to play the A, continue to draw it, push the slide in. Up to C and D. I did a whole video where I discussed the different applications for these 2 scale types. Basically, if you find a minor tune that you're jamming over and the Dorian scale is sounding a little funny, try this natural minor scale. And it has something to do with the chord progression, where sometimes the Dorian scale is not the best choice. Next thing we're going to do is take this natural minor scale, just make one change, and raise the 7th. That'll give us a C sharp. That's the harmonic minor scale, extremely useful if you're playing in a minor tonality and it goes to the 5 chord. Because the 5 chord, most of the time, in a minor progression is going to have a major third in it. It's going to be some type of an altered dominant. It could be what we call a flat 9. So the B flat in the scale gives us the flat 9. The C sharp gives us that major third of that chord. Sounds very exotic, but when you get it, playing it over the 5 chord or even a minor 2-5-1, it's a very valuable set of notes. So the next thing we're doing is the melodic minor scale. In classical music, traditional music education, the scale is different ascending and descending. In recent times, jazz educators have used this melodic minor scale, and they always talk about the ascending version. So usually nowadays, if you hear somebody talking about the melodic minor scale, it's the same up and down, if that makes sense. And that, I know that's a little confusing, but in classical music, there's an ascending version of the scale and a descending. But for jazz theory people in recent years, the melodic minor scale, sometimes referred to as this ascending version of the melodic minor scale, they've condensed the term. So for most jazz education, the melodic minor scale is this scale, and I'm going to show you. What we have here is a scale that is just one note away from the D major scale. It's a D major scale, but it's not a major scale. It's got a minor third. So this is D melodic minor, and the second half of it is just like a major scale. The scale is what you want to use if you've got a chord voicing that has a minor third in it, but in major 7. It's also a scale that, just for a different color, is sometimes chosen instead of the Dorian. So, and the melodic minor scale is pretty deep because it develops its own set of 6 additional modes. And some of those are very useful scales unto themselves. Another topic for another day. But to get used to these 4 scale types, you could start practicing them in pairs. Like you might practice the Dorian scale with the natural minor scale back and forth. So I went back and forth a couple times between the 2 scale types. You could also practice this natural minor scale and pair it with the harmonic minor scale. Practice those back and forth. And so on. You could practice the harmonic minor and the melodic minor back to back. You could practice the melodic minor and the Dorian back to back, because those 2 scales are just one note different. But the final exercise, the final exam, is to play all these 4 scales back to back in a row. So there you have it. This is a way to get these 4 scales under your lips, and also to gain a little bit of theoretical understanding of these scales. You have to spend some time with them, get to know their personalities, and you can start using them in improvisations. What is it? Can I do another take? I almost forgot to mention, this little video that I've made today is a bit of a promotion for a course that I put out a couple years ago called 4 Different Kinds of Minor Scales in 6 Keys. And it's a whole ebook, and then I've got video demos of everything in the book and some additional discussion. There's a lot of music theory in it. I try my best to explain my take on the personalities and uses of all of these scale types. But at the end of the book, there's a whole section on minor tunes that you could play on your harmonica. The standard jazz standard tunes that are in minor tonalities. I talk about the minor 2-5-1 progression. I talk about all these different applications for these scales. Please check it out, and you get a lifetime access to the course once you sign up to it.